Here's a lie we were taught about masculinity and femininity. Who decided that pink is for girls, blue is for boys? We grow up surrounded by these rules, and most of the time we don't even question them. Hi, this is Cloris. How are you doing? Today I want to show you something radical, that masculinity and femininity are not natural truths. They are stories that we repeat. And to explain this, I'm going to use a philosopher named Jacques Derrida. Oh no, I don't mean this one playing football, but this one that looks way more like the other philosophers. But I will tell you his story with football later. A magical girl anime called Sailor Moon and an ancient Chinese idea called Yin and Yang. By the end of this, the way you see gender might completely change. First of all, let's talk about a philosopher named Jacques Derrida. Derrida is famous for his philosophical theory called Deconstructionism, aka the philosophy of overthinking. But actually, this is a way of critical thinking that prevents us from brain rot. Deconstruction simply means that looking at ideas that seem natural and normal and asking, how was this built and what is it hiding? Here's the short summary of Derrida's life. Jacques Derrida was born in 1930 in Algeria, got kicked out from the school for being Jewish during the World War II, and immediately learned his first philosophical lesson. Authority is suspicious and rules are negotiable. Then he moved to France, studied philosophy, and woke up one day in the 1960s wondering, what if words don't behave? Like law doesn't mean justice, rules do not mean fairness, the signifier doesn't mean the signified. Therefore, he invented Deconstructionism, a method that takes text apart, shakes out all the hidden contradictions, and leaves professors arguing forever. By the 1980s, Derrida was so famous that literature departments worshipped him. An analytic professor tried to cancel his degree. Many people quoted him. Not all agreed on what he meant, because his deliberately complex style meant that even his supporters often disagreed about how to interpret his work. And interestingly, Derrida shares something in common with another famous Algerian-born French philosopher. Guess who? It's Albert Camus, an existential legend and a goalkeeper as well. No, I don't mean that they just shared this in common, but they both share a dream to become famous football stars. Camus said, "Everything I know about morality and the obligation of man, I owe it to football." Derrida doesn't guard the goal. He would question whether the goal truly existed. They both loved football. The strict rules constantly collapse because of refereeing errors, randomness, defeat, and national emotion. And second, football is a perfect symbol of life and sudden suffering. And thirdly, deeply emotional but deeply unfair. Football is one of the few sports that men are allowed to show their emotions, express their vulnerability despite many social norms. Derrida noticed something strange about how humans think. Masculine versus feminine, rational versus emotional, leader versus follower, light versus dark. Sounds pretty harmless, right? But here's the problem. In many cultures, one side is often treated better than the other, such as masculinity is better than femininity, being rational is better than emotional. In fact, this is not balance. This is hierarchy. These opposites actually do not exist independently. Each one secretly depends on the other to even make sense. For example, strong only means something when weak exists. Leader only exists when there are followers. Masculine only exists when feminine exists. That's the first crack. Now here's Derrida's most misunderstood quote. Il n'y a pas de hostess de la grammatologie in 1967 literally means there's no outside of the text. What he meant is this: we only understand reality through language, culture, and stories. There is no pure meaning before interpretations. When we say men are naturally strong or women are naturally emotional, these statements already come wrapped in cultural language. You are not seeing nature, you are reading a story about nature. So how does it connect to gender? Genders feel natural because we hear the same sentences repeated from childhood. Derrida does not deny biological gender of male and female, but he deconstructs the cultural meanings and power structures built on top of biological differences. Scientifically, biology gives us chromosomes, organs, and hormones, but society adds men lead, women nurture, men are logical, women are emotional. These social meanings are not written in our DNA, they are written in language, culture, law, and tradition. Personally, my language and culture are also very different from the Western context and culture. If you are interested, you can also check out this video. I talked about my mother tongue that doesn't even include gender, and my childhood with a lot of female heroes in Japanese anime, and the experience of attending a girls' school. Therefore, when I encounter the Western context, I always have this culture shock. As I'm living abroad, I encounter deconstruction so often, as well as mind-provoking ideas, and I realize that the social norms I grew up with actually contradict with those in other societies. And let's talk about how masculinity destroys itself. A real man, according to the rules, must be strong, dominant, rational, independent, and never cry. Growing up, I always hear this. 男子漢流血不流淚. Be a man, never shed your tears even though you are bleeding. Even though the adults never told me this, when I was hearing that, I felt so sorry for the boys. Because men are also human, they also feel fear, shame, loneliness, love, grief, all these emotions. But the rules say, you are not allowed to show this. So what happens? Those feelings don't disappear, they get trapped. And what's the only emotion men are allowed to show? Anger. Instead of crying, a lot of them just rage. Instead of confessing pain, they self-destruct. One thing we do know is that more men die from suicide than women. For example, in the US, the suicide rate among males is 4 times higher than that of females. The difference is the most significant for the oldest age group. Unfortunately, these rates are rising, particularly among younger men, which is a very depressing phenomenon in the modern society. While masculinity claimed to be logical, in reality it survives on explosions, violence, emotional suppression. Derrida said, "Une structure est habitée parce qu'elle exclut." That literally means a structure is inhabited by what it excludes. The meaning of masculinity is unstable from the inside, and that's deconstruction. It shows us every identity is haunted by what it excludes, that the outside is already inside. In that sense, masculinity is trying to banish emotion, but it's actually structured and driven by the very emotions that it denies. The same concept of deconstructionism can be also applied to femininity. Women are told to be gentle, nurturing, soft, emotional, but then the world tells them, you are too emotional to lead, you are too soft for politics, you are too sensitive for power. So femininity is required and disqualified at the same time. I remember when I was in Hong Kong, I was told to be more soft and gentle. Even my mom and my ex-boyfriend told me to be more gentle, more soft, otherwise no one would like you. And then the most ridiculous thing is when I'm in Germany now, people see me as too soft-spoken, too vulnerable, too fragile, and being soft and gentle doesn't help me to survive in this society because the society holds a very skeptical view when they see someone being soft and vulnerable. If you wonder what struggles I have when I'm fitting into a new society, you can check out this video. In that video, I talked about my very personal experience, how my past baggage and personal belief make some situation a bit more difficult. So all these culture shocks and clashes of identities and beliefs actually made me reflect a lot on my upbringing, old beliefs, and question the new ideologies that I encounter in a new society. So yeah, as a highly sensitive person, I tend to do a lot of overthinking and reflection, but probably not everyone is the same. And then let's talk about something unexpected, the Japanese anime, Sailor Moon. At first glance, it looks hyper-feminine. Crying, love, friendship, glitter attacks, but that's the trick. Sailor Moon wins battles not through brute force, but through emotion, connection, and care. She doesn't dominate, she heals. And then we also have the charismatic, charming Sailor Uranus, masculine clothing, feminine partner, no clear man and woman role. And this is what I grew up watching. The show refuses binary. It quietly says, you can be strong and soft at the same time, powerful and gentle all at the same time. This is also a gender deconstruction hidden in a magical girl Japanese anime. Honestly, Derrida with sparkles. In daily examples, we can also see emotional intelligence builds better teams, proper listening prevents conflicts. Lastly, let's talk about something also very unexpected, which is yin and yang, an ancient Chinese idea. In recent years, I have heard so much more this idea in Western context, especially in some dating reality shows. I remember some guys say you are the yin to my yang and something like that. Do they really understand this Chinese philosophical concept, yin and yang? In fact, I find Derrida's idea of deconstructionism actually resonates with yin and yang. Yin is light, gentle, feminine. Yang is strong, active, masculine, but you see the little dot in each of them. That means yin contains yang and yang contains yin. They are not enemies, they are movements. That means there is no pure masculinity and pure femininity, always shifting balance, always fluid. According to Deconstructionism, meaning is unstable. Yin-Yang shows that identity is fluid, different languages but same idea. L'autre n'est pas l'opposé du même, mais l'autre du même. That means the others is not the opposite of the same, but the other of the same. This is how exactly yin and yang work. They are different, but they are different inside the same movement of life. Each one carries the trace of the other inside it. Have you ever felt trapped by the rules telling you about what men and women are supposed to be? Have you ever surprised yourself by breaking one of the rules without even trying? If this video makes you feel seen, confused, inspired, or even a little bit uncomfortable, that's where thinking begins. So if you like my video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my new videos. And your support means the world to me for me to create more videos about some personal stories and reflections that I have living abroad. And thank you for listening to my sharings. Take care and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!